Today we're going to talk about making foil stickers for the bottom of your tumbler. Now you can follow along with this video. You don't actually have to foil them if you don't want to, but it is a cool way to add your logo and care instructions to the bottom of your tumbler. Now you do need a laser printer in order to actually foil them. So if you don't have a laser printer, you can still follow along, but at least learn how to make the image and print it on sticker paper. So I am going to use clear sticker paper from Online Labels. They have my favorite sticker paper, and I'm going to link it in the description box below. The thing about Online Labels is that they actually send free samples. So you could get a page of labels to test out before you actually purchase a bunch at the same time. So I highly recommend heading to their website, typing in like free sample or something in the search bar, and it should pop up. I both designed my sticker and used the print and cut feature of Silhouette Studio, but I think that I would recommend actually just buying labels that are already made from Online Labels so you can get more on your sheet. I will talk about that later. But if you have design space or you're using another program, the idea would be the same. So I know putting like stuff on the bottom of your tumblers is a little controversial, but I think that artists all over the place sign their work, and it's totally okay for you to put your logo and care instructions on the bottom of the tumbler. That is a completely personal choice, and that's what I do. So I want to show you exactly how I make the stickers. The last thing I want to say before we get started is that a lot of people use the Heidi Swap minc machine to foil their stickers, but I don't have one of those, and I'm really trying not to buy things that I don't need. So I'm going to show you how to do it with a heat press. Now you could possibly use a laminator. It did not work for me, but you could test it. And if you could get enough pressure, maybe an iron would work. I don't actually know, but I'm going to show you how I did it. So let's head over to my computer and get started. So I'm going to do all of this designing in Silhouette Studio. I have made my page 8.5 by 11 because we're going to print this on sticker paper. I'm going to start by drawing a circle. If you click the circle, if you hold down Shift, it will keep the dimensions the same. So when you look up here at the top, they're the same. I'm going to change this to be 1.5. You want it to be locked before you change it, so I'm going to change it to 1.5. And then I have a small circle. You can always adjust this size later. I'm going to draw another circle, and I'm going to make this one about 1.2. And we're going to see how that looks on the inside here. So I'm going to move this 1.5 out of the way and use this one that's about 1.2. And I'm going to add my text. So go over to the left, press the A, and click anywhere on the mat. And I'm going to add my text. I'm going to do hand wash only. I'm going to do not microwave safe, do not soak, and no, and do not dry. You can make whatever you would like. You can add whatever text you want. I'm going to select all, and I'm going to change the size. Now, so if you double click, and then I'm going to see this blue bar here, I'm going to move it to the right so I can get this all on the same line. I'm going to go up and change the font. I use Olivetti typewriter, and then in the top left, I'm going to make it black. And then I always change the outline to be clear, right? No outline, and this will help when we go to cut it later. So the other thing is I need to add another symbol down at the bottom here. You can do whatever symbol. You can add hearts, stars, whatever you want. So I'm going to double click, and I'm going to try to get this text to curve around this circle. So the way you do that is you double click so you get your green box, and then it has this little plus sign on the end. And what you're going to do is you're going to drag this whole thing over to this circle. And then obviously this is way too big, so I'm going to go down and make it like 14. Looks like that's still too big. So then you're just going to play around with the sizing and the spacing until it looks how like you want it. So once you get it the way you want it, what you need to do is right click, press weld, right click, and then group. Now this will separate it from that circle, which you want. Now we don't need this circle anymore. So it's going to print just like that. I do have this bigger circle that was 1.5, so it looks like this is just a little too big. So I just need to make it so that it fits inside this red circle because that's where it's going to cut. And then the last thing I'm going to do, which is optional, so I'm going to put my logo in the middle, so I need to get this to be pretty small. So I'm just actually going to put it right here in the middle. This is totally and completely optional. If you want to line it all up, you can click your mouse, drag everything, and a line in the center and a line in the middle, and then that way you know it's all aligned. So that's how you create it. Now options, you can cut it with your program, or you can save this as an image and go somewhere like online labels, buy circle labels of the right size, like 1.5, and then you can choose clear sticker paper because you're gonna get, it looks like 30 labels per sheet, and you don't have to cut them, right? They're already gonna be cut. So that's what I recommend, but since I don't have those right now, and you might not either, I'm going to use my silhouette to do this. So I'm gonna go back to the page menu, change this to 8.5 by 11 because that's the size of a sheet of paper. And I'm going to then go to registration marks, and you need to turn them on. So you can, again, change the length and the thickness of your marks. You may want to play around with that to figure out what settings work best for your machine. So I'm going to actually right-click this and group, and then I'm going to fit as many as I can on this page. So one quick way to do that is to go to the replicate panel, and you can click this like 4 to the right. This first row I can really only get 3, so you can do this however you want, but if you then go to the transform panel, you can align in the middle, and then you can space out horizontally to make them all lined up nicely. I mean, obviously that's like not necessary, but then I'm going to just copy and paste and create a new row of stickers because I know I can probably get either, looks like maybe I can only get 4. Okay, so I am going to space these out so it looks a little nicer, and then I'm just going to group these to make it a little easier when I go back to the transform panel or replicate panel, and I'm going to do 4 down, so it'll just paste 4 down, and then I think I'm gonna do 1 more, and then the last thing I like to do is I'm gonna move this down here, and then I'm going to select all of these, and I'm going to space them vertically so it looks nice. Now I want to show you this one right here. You can't have any overlap on this like grid, so this one's not going to work. So I'm going to ungroup and delete. And then you can print this on clear sticker paper. So let's see how many labels I have. I've got 4, 8, 12, 16, 19, 22. So if I bought label paper, I could get more labels at the same time and I wouldn't even have to cut them. So it's definitely more time and cost effective to buy already cut labels. So what you're going to do is go to send, and then I like to cut by line so I can see that I'm only going to cut what has a red outline, which is that main circle. If I were to click this one, that means all of those little letters would print. That's why I changed them to not have an outline earlier, so I can differentiate the two. So if I were to click, so then you can see like it's going to try to cut every single one of those individual letters, which I do not want. Anything with a clear outline, with no outline, I don't want it to cut. I only want it to cut the red. So I just like to make sure that that looks good before I print. And then you're going to put your sticker paper into your printer. And then you can see that that red outline is not going to print. That's because its weight is at 0. Okay, so if you see a red line when you go to print, go back and change that red outline to have a weight of 0. So you're gonna have to figure out your printer setting, but I am using my laser printer so I can foil these. And then my laser printer doesn't have as many options, but you might need to play around with how it looks. Like sticker paper, if it has a glossy paper or photo paper or something like that, sometimes that helps. So you're going to print that after you put your paper in your printer. Right after it prints, you can put your sticker sheet right on the mat, load it up, and send your cut. After you get your mat loaded, you're going to change your cut settings. Now, I have done this before. So my personal settings are blade 3, 4/16, and speed 4. And I actually remember last time it cut a little too much. So I'm going to bring that down to like 13. And then you're going to press send. But if this is your very first time cutting on this paper, remember to use your test cut feature so you can see that it actually cuts. And you just want it to cut through the top layer, but not the whole sheet. But it's not the end of the world if it cuts through the whole sheet. So once you get your settings right, press send. I'm using this deco foil from Amazon, and it comes in a weird size based on the sheet, but you can cut it down and just make sure that the whole sheet is covered with your foil, color side up. So for purpose of the video, I'm just going to cover all but these two so you can see the difference. I'm using a gold foil, but you can get silver or you can get a rainbow. So I used my heat press. Make sure you put on your Teflon sheet, and I pressed at 305 degrees about 3 times for 10 seconds each. Make sure you have enough pressure. Then when it's done, you can peel off that foil top and you'll be left with these beautiful foil stickers. And then you can attach it to the bottom of your tumbler. You just peel it and stick it right to the bottom, and then you can cover this with a few coats of Bright Tone. The edges will, all in all, basically disappear after a few coats of Bright Tone. All of the materials I used will be linked down below. And after a few coats of Bright Tone, you really can't see the edges. I love how the foil looks, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions.